You know how it starts, right? It's usually just a whisper, a rumor, which then just explodes into an absolute firestorm for one of the biggest pop stars on the planet. For about a decade now, a cycle has been playing out that's become, well, almost predictable. A cycle of love, art, and some really intense controversy. So let's get into this, because we're not just gossiping about a celebrity's dating history. Nope, this is more like a forensic analysis of a public story that's been building for years. And that really gets us to the heart of the whole thing, the big question we're tackling here. Are we just looking at a string of really unfortunate coincidences, or is this something more, a deliberate, repeating pattern? We're going to break down all the data points, the accusations, and the fallout to see what the evidence really points to. Okay, so to really get what's happening now, we have to rewind. We have to look at the past. Because this whole story, this whole pattern, it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It actually started years ago with a few key relationships that basically created a template, a kind of blueprint for all the drama that was to come. The first thing you notice here is just the sheer speed of it all. Back in 2014, she gets linked to the rapper Big Sean, while he was very, very publicly with Naya Rivera. Then, after they split, her relationship with Mac Miller, while not starting with any cheating claims, kicked off super fast after his own breakup. And then, of course, who could forget 2018? The jump from Miller to a whirlwind engagement with Pete Davidson was so fast it gave everyone whiplash. These were the early warning signs. But this is the moment it all went from just public observation to a direct allegation. In her memoir, the late Naya Rivera dropped this absolute bombshell about finding Ariana Grande at Big Sean's house. And just like that, this became the first huge piece of evidence, you could say, a direct, on-the-record story that really planted the seed of this pattern in everyone's minds. And you know what happened next. This is where social media just took the story and ran with it. People weren't just talking about one relationship anymore. They were starting to connect the dots. You started seeing tweets and posts everywhere, pointing out how dizzying her relationship timeline was, how she didn't seem to just end things, she'd immediately replace them. The idea of the pattern was officially becoming a thing. All those little threads from the past, they were all about to be yanked together into one massive, definitive scandal. This wasn't just another data point. No, the Ethan Slater situation. It became the case study, the one that would define this entire controversy. I mean, just look at this slide. It shows you the absolute collision of two different worlds. In the before column, you've got Ethan Slater. He's a Broadway star, married to his high school sweetheart, Lilly Jay, and he's a brand new dad, just a private family guy. And then, in the after column, his life publicly implodes. He files for divorce, and it's confirmed he's with his co-star, Ariana. The timeline here wasn't just tight, it was basically airless. And then came the quote that changed everything. Ethan Slater's wife, Lilly Jay, she didn't stay quiet. She went to the press, said she was totally blindsided, and then she delivered this line. Suddenly, this wasn't just tabloid gossip anymore. This was a raw, direct testimony of betrayal from the person right in the middle of it all. And with that, she introduced a really powerful new phrase into the conversation. So let's talk about that phrase, collateral damage. It's a heavy one. What does it actually mean in this whole situation? We're going to dig into the human cost of this scandal and the absolute volcano of debate that it set off online. You know, the formal definition of collateral damage is basically the harm done to people who weren't the main target. And here, it obviously applied to Lilly Jay, who was a new mom facing the public implosion of her marriage. It applied to their baby, who's now going to grow up in a split family. And some reports even suggested it applied to Ariana's own ex-husband, Dalton Gomez, who was apparently also blindsided by their separation. The reaction online was, well, it was instant and it was fierce. On one side, you had comments just like this one from Reddit, which was a huge hub for this whole discussion. And the thinking here is pretty black and white. This is the pattern confirmed. No more questions. He's scum for cheating and she's complicit because she knew what she was doing. But then you've got the complete opposite take, which you saw a lot from her supporters. This argument puts all the blame, 100%, on the guy who broke his vows. They're saying, hey, we don't know what was going on in his marriage. Maybe it was terrible. Maybe she actually saved him. It was a debate that was just raging everywhere. So how did Ariana respond to all this? Not with a statement, not with an interview, but with her music. Her song, Yes And, was basically a defiant clapback. I mean, the lyrics say, "Why do you care so much whose dick I ride?" For her fans, it was empowering. But for her critics, it felt like she was completely dodging the real issue, just brushing off serious criticism as if it were just petty gossip. So, after all of that, where does this leave us? Well, in this last part, we're going to look at how this whole pattern has spun into a narrative that's so strong, it's almost become a trap. Something that shapes how people see her, no matter what the actual facts are in any new situation. And this is the perfect example of that trap in action. A rumor just blew up online linking Ariana to the married actor Aaron Taylor Johnson. Now, let's be super clear. This rumor was totally, completely false. There was zero evidence. But what's important here isn't whether it was true. It's why so many people instantly believed it. And this tweet right here, it just says it all. The public's gut reaction wasn't, is this real? It was, of course. That sounds exactly right. It fit the story perfectly. And it shows that the pattern is now the main filter people use to view her life. The public has literally been conditioned to expect this kind of behavior from her. Now, obviously, we're not psychologists. We can't diagnose anybody. But we can look at the behaviors that have been presented. Experts often suggest that when someone repeatedly goes after partners who are unavailable, it can come from a few different places. Maybe a fear of real, stable intimacy, or the thrill of winning someone in a competitive situation, or it could even be about replaying old issues from their past. The public has basically gotten a front row seat to this psychological playbook. So, when you boil down the morality of a situation like this, here's how it's often framed. The person who cheats, in this case the man, always has the primary responsibility, right? He's the one who actually broke a vow. But the other woman is seen as having a secondary responsibility, which is still a big deal, if she knowingly goes along with it and participates in the betrayal. And this, right here, is the crucial difference. Doing something like this once, that can be a mistake. A really bad one, but a mistake. But when it becomes a repeated pattern, happening over and over again across different relationships, well, then it stops being about a single mistake and starts saying something about a person's character. It suggests a consistent lack of empathy for all the other people, the collateral damage left behind. So, what's the ultimate result of all of this? It's that Ariana Grande is now pretty much trapped inside a story that she helped create. Every time she's friends with a man, people will be suspicious. Every new relationship is going to be investigated to see if it had a messy start. I mean, that fake Aaron Taylor Johnson rumor is all the proof you need. And that leaves us with one final really big question to chew on. Once a public narrative gets this powerful, this baked in, can a person ever really escape it? Or is the pattern always going to be their defining story no matter what they do next?